I'm your host, Brandy Fleck, and this is Human Amplified. This is a show about our existence, our place in the world, what it all means, and ways to make it better. From big picture ideas that blow your mind to practical life advice, we explore it all. We amplify the voices of healers, survivors, mystics, disruptors, scientists, creatives, and everyday people like you and me to expand our consciousness and use that awareness to evolve into who we really want to be in the depths of our soul. Humans Amplified. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode, please go rate and review the show. And remember to subscribe where you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Friends, we are one episode away from the season finale of season 5. So I just want to take a few minutes to let you know how grateful I am that you're here with me, listening and watching and leaving comments or sending emails. I read every single one. This podcast is able to keep going because of your support, and it's free. So if you haven't left a rating and review yet, I invite you to do that now because it helps the show out so much. The best places to leave reviews are on Apple Podcasts, Google, and Facebook. You can pick one or leave a review in all 3 places, whatever you feel led to do. Now, after season 5 of the actual podcast ends, I'll still be putting out solo episodes on YouTube from time to time, so go ahead and subscribe there if you haven't yet so that you don't miss anything. But since no more interviews are coming out until season 6, I am now accepting guests for season 6, which will air in 2025. So if you have a story to share and feel like you would be a good fit, check the description box for how to be a guest on the show, and I hope to hear from you soon. So you guys probably know by now that I'm a firm believer in finding your own custom mix of healing modalities when you're focusing on healing trauma. There's not one silver bullet at any given time, but many modalities, when combined, can create a winning strategy. Some modalities work for you while some won't, and depending on where you are in healing and what you need to process and integrate, different modalities may be better suited at different times too. For example, maybe acupuncture, massage therapy, and trauma-informed coaching work well together at one point, and then at another time, perhaps therapy, somatics, and trauma-informed yoga might work better. It's all a matter of knowing what you need and trying on different things for size. All that to say, I love trying and learning about different healing modalities and introducing them to you. Now, PSYCH-K isn't necessarily new in the world, but it was new to me when today's guest, Adelajda Child, came on the show. And it's so interesting how it leverages different parts of the brain to create change in your life. It reminds me somewhat of the 2-Mind method that we featured in last week's episode 123, so it'll be interesting for you to hear the differences and decide if you want to try it. Today's guest, Adelajda Child, is a PSYCH-K instructor conducting workshops globally, helping individuals recognize and overcome their subconscious barriers to peace and success. During our discussion, we really get into the technicalities about the difference between our subconscious mind and conscious mind, how to align them, and why beliefs, subconscious or conscious, are so powerful in our lives. We not only go in depth about what PSYCH-K aims to do, but we talk about how to access the subconscious mind, what's available to us when we do, how cognitive dissonance can set in, and where the struggle comes from. Then we pivot into how to know what to consciously believe in the era of misinformation that we're living in, and when to know if you should change your beliefs. While we talk a lot about the hemispheres of the brain, getting them to work together, and how the subconscious mind creates our realities, ultimately, when you dig deeper, this episode is about decision making. Do you want to make decisions that impact your life with some of the information or all of the information that could possibly be available to you? And also making sure you can trust that information before making decisions, leading to more peace in your life. This is a really interesting topic, and I know there are a lot of opinions out there about what goes into creating our realities, so let's dive in and let us know in the comments what comes up for you as you listen. For the links mentioned throughout this episode, visit the show notes at humanamplified.com/episodes/124. A question that I ask everyone who comes on the show is, what does being human mean to you?
It means to experience everything that is happening around you, within you, and outside of you. It's being this spiritual being having a human experience.
I love that. Thank you. Everybody, today we are welcoming to the show Adelajda Child, and she is here to talk to us about a really interesting healing modality called PSYCH-K. And I can't wait to dive in. So, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brandy. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
And before we dive in, can you just tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So, I am a PSYCH-K instructor. And what I do, I teach people how to overcome any type of stress and anxiety and trauma and change limiting beliefs that keeps us from aligning ourselves with our dreams, that keeps us from actually living our dreams here and now.
Okay, wonderful. And you were telling me that you are based in Long Beach, California. So,
Yes.
how are you liking it there?
I love California. I'm originally from Poland. I arrived here in, I believe, 2013. Wow. Yes, 11 years ago. But I think I was always California girl in heart because I just love this place. I love Long Beach. It's such a wonderful place to be.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what made you get into Psych K?
Wow. Well, I'm going to try to keep this journey short, which started in 2010 when I found myself living with my parents again. I was broke, I was depressed. I just ended another terrible relationship. I lost my job. So everything that could go wrong went wrong. And this was actually the best thing that happened to me because everything I was doing it wrong because I was living according to society. I was living to according what other people can think or say. And finally, that thing or things that happened to me made me stop and listen. So I believe that depression that I've got, all of this, everything that brought me to live back in my parents' house allowed me to actually look within. I found out that I create my own reality. And first I got angry. It was like, what do you mean I create my own reality, right? Because I wouldn't create that. Well, after actually thinking about it and reading books like Awakening by Demelo and Power of the Subconscious Mind of Joseph Murphy, I understood that I created my own reality, not consciously, but subconsciously. So I went on a journey to understand what is subconscious mind, how does it create our reality, and that brought me through different modalities like starting with, I think everyone knows, starting with affirmations and listening to the tapes and listening to at my own meditation, not listening, but doing the meditation, right? I was tapping into it slowly but I wouldn't say surely, because I was never sure if I tapped into it, because none of this modality gave me a proof that I did until 6 years later, I found out Psych-K about Psych-K. I found this modality through one of those rabbit holes on YouTube where there was originator who showed me and showed everyone how to change limiting beliefs within few minutes, and I was shocked. And I actually closed my computer because I couldn't believe that how easy it was. Because other modalities, took time, it took effort, it was sometimes painful. And I believe that change is painful and takes time, and it's really hard to do. And now this man is showing me that change can be easy and fast. So it took me 6 months before I actually learned the modality PSYCH-K. And it's a wonderful tool. Now I know. And it's it's just that was my journey. So I hope I kept it short enough.
No, that's great. And I love how you've mentioned the subconscious and limiting
Mm.
beliefs because I know
Mhm.
we're going to get into a lot of that in a little bit. For our listeners who don't know, what exactly is Psych-K?
PSYCH-K is a modality that helps people to change limiting beliefs in the subconscious. Psyche is a modality that taps into that part of the mind that stores our beliefs, that stores our stress, that actually stores everything. And what Psyche does, it creates a whole brain state. And whole brain state is when left and right hemisphere function simultaneously. Walking is amazing a time where you actually using both hemispheres and you
Ah,
create a whole brain state. That's why people love to walk or run and they may feel much better. It allows them think better and allows them to have more clarity. Why? Because left hemisphere is responsible for the right side of the body and right hemisphere is responsible for the left side of the body. So when we are using both sides of walking, we're creating whole brain state. Both hemispheres are activated. So this is one of the examples that you can create whole brain state. And why is it important? From neuroscience, we know that our both hemispheres have different functions and they are responsible for different tasks. We all heard about people who are more left-brained and right-brained, right?
mm-hmm.
So people who tend to use more the left hemisphere, they tend to use more of logic, analysis. They tend to break everything apart. Like they love specifics, they love order, right? They need to understand why, and they are very task oriented. When it comes to people who reside more into the right hemisphere, they're more into their feelings, their intuition. They are more into wholeness, relationships, and they tend to think about groups. Okay. So when we are residing in both hemispheres simultaneously, that gives us really huge advantage. Why? Because not only we can use analysis, but also we can check how we feel about it. So what Psych-K does, it allows us to create that whole brain state where we can use left hemisphere and the right hemisphere simultaneously.
That seems really powerful. And so, are we not already using them simultaneously at different times, or is this something that we really have to work at?
Well, thank you for that question because actually we are born with ability to be whole brain. However, childhood experiences brings us to use more left hemisphere or right hemisphere more often. So imagine you grew up in an environment where you couldn't show your feelings. Okay, like boys don't cry or
Mm-hmm.
girls we don't you should they shouldn't get angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we learn to shut the right hemisphere that is responsible for feelings and use more the left hemisphere when we analyze things. And yes, sometimes we do use some one time left hemisphere or one time right hemisphere. It's not always that we live in that one hemisphere all the time. However, the best way to be is to use both hemispheres always simultaneously. So yes, I do have all the data. Like think about you choosing a job, right? You see that it's very well paid. You see that this is really a company that has lots of workers. It's close home, so you don't have to drive far and so on. And yet, your intuition tells you not to take that job. So, if you are using both hemispheres, you're going to have all this data and you're going to actually choose not to take this job. And what happens is month later, actually, you see that this work, actually, this not only the work, but let's say this company just is bankrupt. And like, oh wow, so this is why I didn't take this job. But if you would live only in the left hemisphere, you will have all the data, right? All the information. You would feel that something is not okay, but you're not that connected to your intuition, and you're going to just dismiss that the intuition, and you're going to go and take this job. That's the difference when we're really using both hemispheres simultaneously and we have information from the left and right hemisphere, and we're using both of them every time.
Okay, so there's more information available to us to help us make decisions.
Exactly, yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, and you mentioned accessing the subconscious mind. What is available to us if we access our subconscious mind? And are we, and this is sort of a double question now, are we only doing that when we're whole brained?
Thank you for the question, because to access the subconscious mind, we need to understand that subconscious mind is actually 1 million times more powerful than a conscious mind. And we know that from neuroscience. So to access it, we need to make sure that we're using the right tools. And often we're using the tools that are not really functional to use for the subconscious mind, like willpower, right? Willpower, like promising ourselves that we're going to change habit. Monday, I'll start eat better. Monday, I will go to the gym. And Monday comes, and what happens, right? And it's not because we are lazy. It's not because we don't want to change. We really want to change on a conscious level, but often that's not enough, because now we know from the neuroscience that subconscious mind is 1 million times more powerful than conscious mind. So what is available to us? Often we say, we've heard that subconscious mind is the most easy to access the first time in the morning or just the last time before we fall asleep, right? So this is what I was using at the beginning when I was creating affirmation, something that I wanted to achieve or change in my life or overcome in my life. And I would repeat it 50 times in the morning and I would repeat it 50 times in the evening for several weeks. And then I could actually see the change. I started to have more energy. I quit coffee. I quit alcohol. That was amazing. Like those were things that I could see that are changing. I found a job that I loved. That was in 2010 when I finally found a job that actually was something that I felt passionate about instead of doing it because people say this is a great money and this will give you future. Another thing is meditation, where we are meditating on things that we want to achieve. So creating that feeling, creating that experience. Again, it's not that easy because you need to feel like you already achieved it. You need to show your subconscious mind what you really want. And that takes, again, time and effort. And I'm not one of those people who wake up every morning at 4 a.m. and meditate and do it then second time and a third time. So I was doing it really I wasn't good about that, how would I say it? And why would I expect other people, my clients, to do the same if this was difficult? But that was another tool that I was using. So those I would say were the tools that I was using before I found PSYCH-K.
Okay.
And remind me the second part of the question.
Is then once you access the
Mhm.
subconscious, what's available there to us?
Okay. So to understand what's available, we need to also understand the function of subconscious mind. And one of the biggest functions of the subconscious mind, it's like a storage. It's like a huge memory bank. And this memory bank, it starts to be filled in actually from the moment we were conceived. So even being in our mother's womb, we are already being pre-programmed. We are already learning about the environment that we're coming to. And the moment we're born to the 7 years old, our brain, our subconscious mind is set to the specific waves. They're called theta waves. And those waves they allow us to go through super learning.
Mm-hmm.
Because why do we need to learn? We need to learn so many things throughout those 7 years. Let's think about it. How to walk, how to talk, how to eat, then interacting with others, socializing, the rules of our home, rules of the kindergarten, school, and so on. So we need to learn all of that. And everything that we've learned is being stored in our subconscious mind for the future references. So, what do we store there? All of our experiences. Think about it. We need to touch everything. We need to taste everything. We need to experience everything, right? How many times even your parents told you don't do it because you're going to burn yourself if you will put your finger into the candle. Guess what we did? We
Mm-hmm.
put our finger to the candle because we needed to experience that. So now when I tell you this is hot as fire, you know exactly how hot it is because it's being stored into our subconscious mind for the future reference. So you're not going to do it again. So with all the experiences, good and bad, are stored in our subconscious mind. Same with beliefs. If we believe that there is this, a Santa Claus, well, there is a Santa Claus because our parents told us until we found out it's not true. However, if we've heard that you need to work hard to make money, the world is a dangerous place, and so on. Actually, it stays with us. Even though we leave our parents will leave the house, they are still being stored in our subconscious mind. So what's available to us in the subconscious mind, there are our beliefs, our experiences, good and bad, and also our values and attitudes. So this is everything that is available to us, and this is why it's important to look into our subconscious mind when we are dealing with challenges.
My mind is going like in all these different places because there's so much there to
Yeah.
explore. But in the first place I'm going is like, well, what happens if you've got these values in your subconscious, but you're living another set of values? What happens? And then I start to think about all this cognitive dissonance that people could experience.
Yeah.
Is that something that you see in people?
All the time.
Okay.
All the time, because there is one thing to believe in something on the conscious level, but it's another thing when we are looking at our subconscious mind. Because I will give you an example. So many people would say, yes, I love myself. But do you really love yourself on the subconscious level? Because often when we check that, and we have a way to check it in PSYCH-K, if we really love ourselves on a subconscious level, though there actually this is not the true. So that's why when people find themselves struggling, it means that their subconscious beliefs and values are not aligned with their conscious dreams. And this is where people struggle. And that's where I struggled as well because I couldn't understand why I could not create the life I wanted with all the knowledge I had. And it was because my subconscious beliefs, we call it programs, were not aligned with my conscious dreams and desires. And this is where where other people also struggle because they don't understand that they need to align their subconscious beliefs with their conscious dreams and desires.
And the tools of PSYCH-K would help them do that, I assume. That's how it fits in.
That's how it fits in. The
Okay.
beauty of PSYCH-K is that you are able to check with your subconscious mind if you believe in something on the subconscious level. So you're getting a feedback from your subconscious mind, which is incredible because before I was guessing. I never knew for sure if I believe in something on a subconscious level. So that was the first magical tool to me for me where I was able to check if I have this belief in my subconscious mind. So that's very beautiful tool because then you don't have to guess.
Okay.
Mm.
I definitely want to dive into that. Before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about beliefs, since that's
Yeah.
something that we're accessing and that we're maybe changing or aligning.
Mhm.
Why are beliefs so powerful?
And the beliefs that we're talking about are actually subconscious beliefs.
Okay.
Why they are so powerful? Because they create our reality, as I mentioned before. So if you believe, Brandy, that you can do something, you will find the way to achieve it. And your subconscious mind will show you all the ways to achieve it, to bring it into your life. This is where the law of attraction starts to work. But if you believe you cannot do something, you will find all the excuses not to do it. I will give you an example how the subconscious mind works. We all bought a car one time in our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so before we buy our car, the first car, we first do the research, which car we would like to get, correct? And what happens the moment you decide which car you want to get?
Oh, you start seeing them everywhere.
Exactly. You start seeing them everywhere. And this is exactly what happens when you align your subconscious beliefs in your subconscious mind. Then your subconscious mind will show you all the opportunities to become successful, all the opportunities to become healthy, all the opportunities to allow you, to help you to get you where you want to get. That's why it's so important.
So, something that I feel like is going to be important to the audience and that we've all
Mhm.
been experiencing is that we are in an era of misinformation.
Yeah.
And hang with me here because I feel like it's related, but it's
Yeah.
hard to know what to believe. And I assume this is consciously.
Correct.
Okay. What are you seeing with students or people that you interact with when it comes to not knowing what to believe and how to navigate misinformation and how it all sort of fits together?
I would say first, do your research. Do your research. Check in different sources, different reliable sources. Okay? And internet, yes, it can be such a place of misinformation. And yet, if you do your research with an open and curious mind in a different sources, reliable sources that you trust, I think it will be easier for you. And yet, when we're doing the research, we need to remember that we already have our subconscious belief about something. So usually, when we're doing the research, we would go to the sources that we believe they're true to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say, you know what? How about go to these resources that are a little bit different too? Take a look at different sites, okay? With an open and curious mind. Because sometimes your beliefs that are subconscious might actually be not true because they are beliefs, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you acquired those beliefs, you didn't have all the information that you could have. Okay, you had the source maybe that was not reliable, right? And the source that was not reliable, it could be even your mom or your dad. Because and who are they to us? To us, they are our mentors.
Hmm.
Okay, so we used to believe everything without questioning. So questioning everything and doing your research is really important. So here, and so I'm coming from both sides. Left side, doing your research, correct?
Hmm.
And then intuition. Okay, how does it feel to me? Do I agree as well with this source here in my heart? And
Okay.
always be open and curious that we can be wrong about something. Because I had it with myself. I being wrong was like the end for me. I couldn't not be wrong because it was my self-worth. But then I understood, wait a minute, if I'm always right, what does it mean about the others, right? So who am I hang out with? It's okay to be wrong. It's okay not to be right all the time. And it's okay to question even authorities. So
Hmm.
that's what I would say.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought those topics up with the research and then the subconscious belief coming in, because I think what I was getting at there is if you don't know what source to trust when you're doing the research, how would you then navigate that situation? And I think you answered that with checking in and sort of, seeing how it feels.
And I
Oh,
would
yeah.
add, validate, not validate, but question yourself as well. And be open to the, I would say, be open to the possibility that that information might also change in the future. Think about how many times information is changing nowadays because we have a new research, let's say. The old research said this, now we have a new research because we have better instruments. Or we see that from the experiences with people that actually this even the research showed us something, it did not work for everyone because everyone is different. And so there's this moving scale, or I would say like moving scales all the time. One truth is not always the one truth because it can change with the new information. So validate those informations constantly. Don't think that this is one and the only truth because actually tomorrow we can have a new research or new data or new experiences of people and we can have completely different outcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when you are presented with a new fact or piece of data, how important is it to change your belief when that information is presented?
I would say I always ask myself, how does it impact me? How does this then impact my family and my friends? And then my neighbors and the environment, and then assess the situation and make the best choices you have with the knowledge you have right now. Okay, so it's always say put the mask right first on yourself because again, everyone is different and everyone has a different needs. And at the end, you're the most important person in your life. And then make decisions about this information and how it will impact not only you and your close ones, but also everyone around you.
You may have answered this question. I'm trying to think back through what we've talked about, but
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask it and see what comes
Mhm.
up. How do we know that the information we're looking at, whether it's from the outside world or it's in our subconscious, is
Mhm.
actually real?
From the science point of view, when you do experiment and the outcome is always the same, it's the truth, correct? So one plus one is always two. If I, right, if I give you $2, it's $2. It's a
Mm-hmm.
fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a belief.
Right.
So if you put something to test and you will receive the outcome that was they were telling you that this is the outcome, well, is it true or not? Yeah.
So if it's true, it's real.
Well, in 3D reality, are you at
Yeah.
the end,
Okay.
what's real? Because again, if you go to the quantum mechanics, actually we are not real. We are just energy. We are very dense and the light just bumps into us. So what's real, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
when?
Yeah. Thank you. Awesome.
Hmm.
So we've sort of talked about beliefs and
Hmm.
how they are in our subconscious and how they interplay with like the world that's external to us. So what are the tools from PSYCH-K that you would recommend using to change that information or access it or anything like that?
Well, you can book a session or you can take a workshop where you can learn these beautiful processes and anyone can learn it. Not only a professional person, but everyone can learn it. And during the when you learn these processes or you go to a professional psyche facilitator, you will be able to use the processes to overcome, let's say, a stress. Because what is stress? It could be fear, it could be phobia, it could be something that bothers you or irritates you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So through these processes, you will be able to bring any feelings that are not desired into feelings of peace and non-attachment. At the end, what are we looking for in our life? Because I believe it's inner peace. I
Okay.
believe it's inner peace about anything, about your health, about your life, about your career, success, relationships. At the end, we want to feel peaceful with everything. Is that right? Would you agree with that?
Maybe so.
Okay.
It's interesting. I've had another guest who made a similar assertion,
Hmm.
but she said that what we're all looking for is freedom. And
Thank you.
she's got a neuroscience background.
Yes.
And we
Mhm.
were talking about how neuroscience and intuition sort of overlap.
Yes.
And so that's interesting to
And I
me.
would agree with that. Yes.
Okay,
Because how does the freedom makes you feel,
probably peaceful.
right?
Yes.
Fulfilled,
Happy.
satisfied,
Hmm.
happy. So I completely agree with that statement. Why do we want money? It's not because money is for to have the money. Money, they give us freedom. Freedom to do anything in this 3D world,
Hmm.
freedom to pay our bills, but it's not only about paying the bills, freedom to see the world, right? Freedom to help others, freedom to bring others for you on your journeys. That's the freedom. And when you are able to do it, you feel satisfied, you feel joyful, you feel peaceful, correct? So
Hmm.
yes, I completely agree with that.
And that sort of reminds me of how you defined what it means to be human when you were talking about experiences, because that freedom ultimately facilitates any experience that we would want to have.
Exactly. And those are any experiences, even those experiences that we call bad. Because feeling sad, how do we know when we feel happy if we never felt sad? When we lost money, how do we know that we feel, fulfilled and we have enough money? And when we never actually lost it. So this comes to the duality in this, again, 3D world that allows us to compare. But if we cannot compare, how can we experience love when we never experience lack of love? So yes, be being a human is experiencing everything in this beautiful world. Yeah.
Okay. What are you actually doing in PSYCH-K?
So we're using a process that is called balance. Again, left and right hemisphere that are in balance. And during this balance, they are able to shift any limiting beliefs into empowering ones, or like we said, any stress into peace. And it's a process that I am able to show in front of us, but I can say that it's the process where you are sitting and then you are brought into a whole brain position. And that whole brain position allows your subconscious mind to shift or change anything that person would like to change. They're always conscious about it. So it's not like, let's say, hypnosis. Often people don't know what happens during hypnosis. So they are reliable on the practitioner. In Psych-K is the person who makes those shifts within themselves because you know yourself best, correct? You know what is in your mind, correct? So you're the person who will do those shifts while sitting or going through a whole brain movements, and you will be the one who makes those shifts. So that's why in Psych-K we call ourselves facilitators because we would facilitate modality. So we would guide you through this process so you can do this process with the guidance. So we don't work on you, we work with you. And that's a beautiful, beautiful way as well, because you're the partner in this process. You're not being worked on like in many other different modalities.
Gotcha. So there's a physical aspect, I hear you say.
Yeah. So there's
Awesome.
mind, body, and spirit, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything is connected. Mind, body, spirit are working together. And so if your body is not healthy, your mind is going to also not feel good. Like you will have thoughts that are negative. And the other way around, if you have a positive thought, your body feels great. You feel great. You are full of energy. So those aspects are connected, and not forgetting about the spirit. The spirit, basically, we are the spirit having this, I would say, bodysuit, right? Through which we can experience this beautiful planet and other people. And that spirit is us that is learning through our experiences. So everything is connected and intertwined. Yeah.
Okay. So it's really a holistic type of modality, correct?
Yes. Yes, that's correct. Psych-K works with those three parts, your subconscious mind, also with your conscious mind, and what we call superconscious mind. But other people can call it God or the universe or higher self or source or spirit. So definitely this is the modality that also works with those three levels. Because again, like you said, it's a holistic approach and everything is connected.
I know you mentioned that when you found it, you were depressed and lots of things had changed in your life that you
Yeah.
really, were hard. Who is Psych-K good for, and what types of experiences is it good for?
Psyche is good for anyone who is ready to change, who is ready to take responsibility for their life, take responsibility for their actions, and ready to become the new version of themselves. Because I always say when we start working with Psyche, say goodbye to your old you and get ready for the new you. And are you ready to leave that old version of yourself behind you?
Okay.
And so if they say, well, I'm not ready yet, then I would say Psyche is not for you. But if you're really ready to take responsibility for your life, for your actions, your behaviors, your words, your thoughts, then Psyche is for you. So if you think you're not worthy or you don't deserve or you are less than, it will help you to change those limiting beliefs into empowering ones. It will also let you change anything from the past. Is there anything that happened 20, 30 years ago and you're still thinking about it? It still makes you angry? Guess what? You hold to it on the subconscious level. Or are you afraid of something, that something might happen in the future, something that it will be a disaster and you can't sleep, you can't eat? Or this is as well the tool to change those future fears that are not allowing you to sleep at night. So anything that is bothering you, you would be able to bring it into peace.
That makes sense. What have I not asked you that you feel is important to share?
I would say do your research. Do your research about Psych-K in different sources. There is lots of information out there. This is a modality that is with us for the last 37 years. 37 years, it's a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you didn't heard about it, well, now you did. So do your research. Don't believe me. Make sure that once you do your research, be open to experience it and then get into your conclusions. I think this is the best thing. I did the same. I didn't, when I saw the psychic for the first time, I didn't believe it. And once I finally proved myself wrong, I tried it. Well, once I finally, I would say, allow myself to experience it on myself, then I came into my own conclusions, what was true to me and to my life. So do your research, allow yourself experience it. It feels good, and then come to your own conclusions.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and the work you're doing in the world. And how can listeners find the work that you're doing?
The best way is to go to my website, adachild.com, adachild.com, and just book free consultation, or just email me with any questions, and I will be more than happy to answer anything that comes up.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Brandy, here. And thank you for all the wonderful questions. And as well, thank you for everything that you do, sharing the experiences and knowledge with others. It's a beautiful thing to do. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Check out more of our episodes here and at humanamplified.com. Remember to subscribe.